My special guest today on Skagit Talks, I'm Gregory Sweet. Let me try that one more time. I'm Gregory Sweet, and my special guests today on Skagit Talks are Andrew Tuttle, co-owner of Edge Perma and Red Tail Design in Arlington, as well as Lisa Miller, who is the owner of Echo Restore in Mount Vernon. They want to talk today about a upcoming garden farm workshop that will be at Christensen's Nursery on May the 25th, 2024. Andrew and Lisa, thank you and welcome to Skagit Talks. Tell us a little bit about the upcoming workshop.
Thank you so much for welcoming us to the show, Gregory. We're thrilled to be here. Lisa and I are really passionate educators, and we've collaborated with a bunch of other great business owners and teachers in the region to offer this regenerative farm and garden workshop coming up next month. And thanks again for welcoming us here. Lisa, do you want to share a bit about your background, and maybe I'll dive into mine after that?
Hi. Thanks, Andrew, and thank you for having us, Gregory. My background is in restoration ecology and land conservation. And now with Eco Restore, I started in 2018, creating sustainable, regenerative, and healthy landscapes to enhance habitat and contribute to the well-being of people and the planet.
It's great. Tell me a little bit about what this workshop that's coming up will be entailing. And is this something that's annually held, or is this the first one that you've had?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Gregory. So this is the first ever collaboration between all of these different companies. So it's myself, Andrew Tuttle with Edge Perma and Red Tail Edge Design. Then Lisa with Eco Restore. We've got Hillary Maddox from Black Girl Country Living, Haley Lampy from Cruising Climate, and then my business partner at Red Tail Edge Design and Edge Perma, and that's Mary Marshall. And so just a few months back, Lisa invited us all to get together and had this idea to offer more community education. And she lives at this amazing site in Mount Vernon, and we, toured the site, got to know a little bit about her passion. Lisa and I have been friends for a while, but we had more of a chat of what can we do to empower our community members here in this region to implement more regenerative practices. And that started this big conversation and idea around just creating more opportunities to get together and learn. And so really it started with Lisa calling us all up, and we sat down and we just all started to brainstorm, what can we offer? What can we share that we're passionate about that can help restore spaces and empower people to implement these regenerative practices on their site. So we have this session coming up on May 25th at Christensen's Nursery. We're going to cover a wide range of topics that day. Lisa, do you want to share a little bit about what that day is going to look like?
Hi, yes. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so on the 25th of May, it's going to be a full day. We're going to start at 9 a.m. and we're going to open with a panel discussion to introduce everyone. And that'll be moderated by Hillary of Black Girl Country Living. Each session will be 15 minutes, and we'll go through the day, starting with permaculture plants of the Pacific Northwest, led by Andrew and Mary of Edge Perma. Then Eco Restore will take us through the principles and practices of permaculture and regenerative gardening and landscaping. Then we'll, of course, have time for a break and wandering around Christensen's nursery and grounds. Then we will have Hillary of Black Girl Country Living again, doing a rewilding workshop and helping us kind of walk through mindfulness programs and how to be healthy in our everyday lives and how we can just have these practices to have more sustainability in our lives and in our gardens. And then we'll head towards the end of the day with Cruising Climate and our soil care basics. And that'll be really exciting to kind of get to the bottom of things and really dig in. Then after that, each group will have a breakout session. So folks will get to decide kind of who and where most resonates with them. And then they will get to choose from any of the 4 breakout sessions.
Andrew, tell me, is this open to both public and commercial enterprises as well?
Yeah, so this is actually, we wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So we have this priced on a sliding scale, and that is from $40 to $70, whatever you feel like you can contribute to this educational programming. We just wanted to offer something that was affordable and had a high value for attendees. But, there's going to be information for home gardeners, for homesteaders, for professional farmers. It's everything in between. My background is very much in production farming and landscape design and farm design, and now permaculture education. So that's kind of the space that I'm specializing in and focusing on with Mary in our session on permaculture plants for the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, we're thrilled about the sessions. We really talked a lot about what we can all offer and how they can integrate into one another and create this really experience with a lot of takeaways for folks. So it's very much a hands-on workshop in some ways, and in other ways we're going to dive into building community and getting to know each other and spending time with one another and learning as a collective. So it's a very unique experience that we're offering. And again, it's our first time doing this, but we're thrilled to have this collaboration formed and are excited at the possibility of offering more educational programming in the future as well.
Sounds great. Lisa, tell me a little bit about what your organization that you're putting together with this workshop. Will it be focused on individuals, or is it just kind of anyone and everyone that's interested?
Yeah, thanks, Gregory. Really, we wanted to make this open to everyone. It can be a little bit daunting, especially with some of these buzzwords or new words for folks like permaculture or regenerative agriculture. So part of doing this as an introductory workshop, we really want to make sure that everyone knows that they're welcome. You can just have a small residential property or a really large farm operation. And that was really a big goal for us in moving to this one-day workshop, where Andrew kind of mentioned at the beginning when we first started brainstorming that this was going to be, kind of smaller monthly hands-on workshops. But it just felt like for getting started, it would be a little bit more connected and cohesive for everyone to have the opportunity to get a little taste of, this variety that we have in all of the presenters and practitioners that they're offering.
Tell me, what actually do the terms eco, restore, and regenerate mean in this particular sense?
Sure, I can share on regenerative real quick, because it's not an agreed upon definition. It's kind of like, similar with permaculture and regenerative farming, there isn't a consensus on what it means. But typically what falls under what we can mostly agree on is when we're integrating regenerative practices, we're trying to store more carbon in soil. We're trying to increase biological diversity. We're trying to store and clean water and have efficient water systems. And we're just trying to produce food as sustainably as possible. So when we talk about regenerative farming, I like to think of it as we're trying to implement these ideas for restoring ecosystems and having farming practices heal spaces versus a lot of farming practices can degrade ecosystems. We're looking to restore ecosystems that produce food for humans and communities and have space for wildlife and really regenerate a space.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, one big difference between permaculture or regenerative-based companies like the 5 of us that will be hosting the workshop and other landscape designers is that we are working to look beyond the edge of a garden or a property, and we want to look at the entire landscape in which each site is located and how each site is unique and how it interacts with its surroundings, from the soil that is present there to the entire watershed, and then also the community aspect of where each site is located. And as Andrew said, often production of a yield, primarily food or other resources, is really one of the major tenets of regenerative and permaculture design goals.
Does Skagit County practice this type of procedure?
Yeah, great question, Gregory. I'll share one example of a site that I know very well, which is Wellfed Farm in the Bow area. I actually worked there in 2020 as sort of the lead tractor operator there, and I learned a lot from Eric there, the farm owner and manager, and they're doing some really unique, interesting stuff there that's very much regenerative. They're integrating livestock systems into production space. So what they do is they'll run chickens, sheep, and pigs in an area that's pasture, and they'll do that in a way where the sheep mow down the tall grass, the chickens will, get the smaller grass that's left behind, and then the pigs will go through that space and really kind of like root things up and build fertility in that soil. And then the next year, that space is then vegetable production. So they're constantly rotating instead of using chemical fertilizers and all of these inputs that are expensive and sometimes toxic. We're using animals to they're essentially these fertility machines that are caring for the soil and building soil health that then benefits those vegetable crops and then also increases the health of those plants for the consumers. Additionally, they have some tree crop systems going in there, hazelnuts and chestnuts, with a silvopasture setup, which silvopasture is where you integrate livestock into these pasture spaces, like rows in between the tree crops. So again, you have animals maintaining the space, maintaining that grass space. So they're a yield in themselves through growing for meat and other products. But then they're building fertility in that soil, and they're working in symphony with those tree crops. And so these are the kinds of systems that I get really excited about and really want to just soak up and learn more about and then teach others about. But there's so much more that they're doing there as far as integrating green crops and legumes and things like that can offset feed costs. So that's one of the sites that I'll probably talk a little bit about during my session at the Regenerative Farm and Garden Workshop next month.
That is really interesting. I enjoyed. I grew up in farm country, and we never established these kinds of procedures, and this is really fascinating to me for our future of our world, if you will, going forward.
That's what it's all about. This is all about learning from those great farmers out there and these amazing systems that these brilliant people have come up with, and sharing that with our community so the more people can get out there and start to heal landscapes and really, we're planning for food systems for the future of the world here.
This is exciting. My special guests today are Andrew Tuttle of Edge Perma Red Tail Design in Arlington and Lisa Miller, who's the owner of Echo Restore in Mount Vernon. They are going to be two of several members that will be at an upcoming workshop called Regen Farm and Garden Workshop that will be held at Christensen's Nursery at 15806 Best Road in Mount Vernon. That will be held from 9 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. on May the 25th. That should be a great workshop that you've got put together. A lot of interesting things. First time ever. And there'll be 6 separate discussion panels. There is a sliding scale for admission, $40 to $70. And one registers by going to www.cruisingclimate.weebly.com. Thank you both so very much for joining me here today on Skagit Talks.
Thank you for having us, Gregory.
I'm Gregory Sweet for Skagit Talks.